An anonymous poet wrote that virtue is a man's monument. Undoubtedly, that wise poet had in mind souls like Art Bonwell, a man of monumental virtue. Art was our friend and a mentor to many, and he lived a remarkable life. A life of sweet humility, gentle kindness, gentle dedication, and endless passion. A man of keen vision, great heart, and he exemplified all that is good and decent in public service. From the sidewalks that he helped to get installed in his little Dana, Indiana community, to preserving this mountain that's behind us today, to the work he's done with the Concord Historical Society to preserve the history of this area, the work that he's done in the political arena, working for candidates, knocking on doors, and advocating for the things he believed in. He had vision and a guiding ethic and environmental stewardship and good citizenship that he left as his marks in this community.
I remember thinking 6 years ago when I first ran for the legislature, Art came out and walked for me a few days. It was one of those precincts where half the precinct was up on a hill and half of it was flat. So we were talking about our strategy, and of course Art, having walked a lot of precincts, had his own set way to walking precincts. So I said, Art, rather than we usually do one side of the street and the other side of the street, I said, we'll do this part, and then I'll go up and do the steep part. And he got quite indignant at me 6 years ago. He said, why? And I said, well, I just thought it'd be easier on you. He goes, I can walk up that hill. Just past my 60th birthday, as you start to reflect on the meaning of life and your individual lives, and you try to think of role models and mentors. I think Art was a tremendous one for me because it's not about titles or the vanity or ego. It's just the common decency of being engaged in your community, whether it was in Indiana or here in Concord, Contra Costa County, and what a huge difference he made in all of our lives. My access to Mount Diablo and my appreciation for it, not just as a place to get exercise, but as a spiritual place in my life, I owe largely to people like Art and Save Mount Diablo. Just honoring him and being mindful, for those of you who are younger, about what real mentors are like. Nobody could be a better mentor than somebody like Art Bonwell.
I look at him and Mary as being the cornerstones and the foundation blocks of Save Mount Diablo. Art kind of looked at life as, certain resources, once they're gone forever. We need to take a look at them and see what we can have for future generations. Not only Save Mount Diablo, but he was an active member in the city of Concord. He's left a very good legacy, not only in the natural environment, but in our community in Concord as well. Ever wanted to have something done, all you had to tell Art was, it can't be done. And you would get it done. He will be very much missed, but definitely never forgotten.
Art was the kind to do everything that he possibly could to help somebody out. One of the things that he really loved was teaching other people. And he started that off with me. I was riding this 43-pound Schwinn bar, so maybe it was 46 pounds. It was heavy. And, he saw, well, he can't even keep up with me doing these rides. And so he loaned me the $250 to buy a nice bike at the time. And then, as part of his teachings, he would write he had a legal pad, and he wrote down every little payment that I made. Some of them were $5, some of them were $20. He would always tell me, well, what I really want to do is save the mountain. I want future generations like your children to have lots of open space. This is something that we all want. And along the way, he helped form me. All I can say is thank you, Art. He helped me make me who I am today.
And he was always so supportive of his family. He never missed a birthday, not a single one. If he wasn't able to be there in person, we received a card on our exact birthday. You all know about Art's timeliness. He was never late. Art was many things for the community, but he was also a member of our family, and always will be.
Art was out working tirelessly to make the world that he lived in a better place. His heart was always here in California. He had to come back to his mountain. And it didn't take long of being around Art that he would talk about his mountain. We're glad that we had a few years of his life there in Dana, Indiana. So Thanks for sharing him with us.
Art loved to ride bicycles, to dance, he loved Concord's history, and he loved this mountain. He became a board member of the Concord Historical Society and an editor of the quarterly publication. He never missed an opportunity to make the board address the tough issues head-on and to move the plan forward. Concord Historical Society will miss him greatly, as will I. Thank you, Art. You did a great job.
Art was art. Art's a very simple name, and that speaks volumes about him. People have talked about the bombastic side of Art. People don't know that inside he was really a puppy dog. Art saw needs, and he saw ways to make them come true. Okay, he thought of possibilities. He wasn't limited. He also pressed people to think beyond the box. I will always remember him asking me a question, and I gave him an answer, and he says, no, that's what your parents think. I want to know what you think.
He was very much a vibrant, strong, opinionated, dynamic individual, and he really did believe that actions speak louder than words. And the great organization that you see here today, Save Mount Diablo, had very, very humble beginnings, and Art was a key to that beginning. You had Dr. Mary Bowerman, who was very interested in preserving places where there were rare plants on Mount Diablo. Art was kind of the historian and the strategist. And it was his idea to start acquiring land at the base of the mountain, when the state park, little by little, very little by little, were buying pieces around the summit. Mary had the dream that the mountain and all its foothills would be preserved. Art had the strategy. And Art wasn't shy about expressing his strategy. Somebody would say, well, we can't do that, that'll be controversial, or we can't do that because we won't have support. Art would say, why not? He says, let's go to Sacramento. He's a wonderful, gentle, but strong-willed, dynamic, and smart man who gave his entire life to a concept of preserving a mountain that he used to love to ride his bicycle around and look at.
That Art had an incredibly varied life. He took these lessons that he learned in the various parts of his life and the various organizations that he was involved in, and he kept repeating them because they were successful. He was a young man the entire time I knew him. You have to sort of back up from the white-haired elderly Art to think of him as a boy who got his love of riding his bicycle in the flat farmland of Illinois and Indiana. He barely missed World War II, but was in the Navy. Got to know the Bay Area by his naval service, and then took the opportunity to come back out here with Dupont. He really just stepped up to do whatever he could to try and make a difference. It almost didn't matter what it was. It was Mary Bowerman saying, what are we going to do about Mount Diablo? What are we going to do about Mount Diablo? But it was Art who finally said, I'll help you put together an organization to start doing some work. When they started, there were 6,800 acres, 10 square miles in one park, as Bob said, near the top of the mountain and down into Rock City. There are 50 or 60 parks, depending on how you look at it now, including not 6,800 acres, but 110,000 acres. We are reassembling a national park-sized wilderness in the middle of an urban area, and part of the reason that we can do that is because Art Bonwell never worried about limitations. It was always about just keep doing the good work and we'll keep improving things. You know, he helped make me who I am. He helped make this organization what it is, and he helped make this county the place that we really love to live.
We have the Mary Bowerman Trail. We have the Sattler Trail. Why not have an Art Bonwell Trail?
The way he touched everyone's lives continue to exist in our minds and in our hearts. And he's not gone. His legacy is right here.